welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be taking a look at a puzzle called Diagonal Movements by Adem Jaziri. And this one, well, we've had a couple of the testers have done this puzzle and they said it's just absolutely wonderful from start to finish and not too difficult today. We will see whether that bears out in how long it takes me to solve it, but apparently there's a lot of joy to be had. And that sounds good to me. Now, not much news today. Thanks so much, by the way, to those who joined us for the stream last night, where I continued to make my way through Overhaul, this very strange game where you try and solve Sudoku when being attacked by plants. It's definitely fun, but it's also highly stressful. Yeah, but anyway, the Kickstarter is nearly over. It's so sad. Here it is. This is to make Cracking the Cryptic's Greatest Hits Volume 2. I think there's 3 days left or something now. So if you want to grab a copy, the only place to get it is on the Kickstarter. And we've hit loads of stretch goals, so it's going to be a magnificent book. And yeah, do grab a copy and get one for your friends as well. And there's also the cushions. The cushions there, you can get cushions as well with O bobbins on. I think there's going to be Sudoku cushions as well, which things frankly every house needs. Other than that, what can I tell you? Over on Patreon, we've got, of course, the November monthly reward, which is the 12 Labours of Hercules puzzle, or Sudoku hunt, I should say. I'm going to read out some names of successful solvers, but I'm also going to tell you that Mark has released a crossword video today. So check that out if you like our cryptic crossword content. And very well done on the hunt to Dennis Ocken, Pablo Boishida, Tim Pattison, Bill Alsop, Mike Smith, Chuck Simmons, Morgan Karpowski, Aaron Spiller, well, it could be Aaron Spiller. I'm never sure about whether it's Aaron or Aaron. Mike Daniels, John Bruns, Steve Swingle, Brendan Spreeder or Spreader, not sure. Eusebiu, it could be Eusebio, I'm not sure. Juha Matti Heikkinen and Christopher Johnson. All of you sent in the correct entry. Really, really well done. And the only other thing I've got to tell you about today is a birthday. And it's an unusual birthday. Today is the birthday of Joseph Anderson, who hails from Monkeytown in Canada. And some of you, I'm sure, will know Joseph Anderson, either from his YouTube channel, which is called Joseph Anderson, or as a Twitch streamer, where he's called, I think, Anderson JPH or something. And Joseph is a video game streamer, and I've watched some of his videos, and they are very, very cool indeed. Well, anyway, one of his viewers, Aaron, I should say, Slater, wanted to wish Joseph a very happy birthday, and just to say thank you to him for all of the wit, the enthusiasm, the entertainment that he's given his audience over the years. I thought that was rather lovely, and I know that Joseph does watch Cracking the Cryptic as well. So Joseph, we wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. We hope you have a brilliant day with your family. I think your wife Lily and your kids, and at Nesquik coffee. I gather that's got something to do with it, but I'm sure you're going to have lots of cake rather than Nesquik coffee. And yeah, all the very best for today. And that's all there is. So let's have a look at, let's check why my phone is buzzing at me. No problems there. Let's have a look at Diagonal Movements by Adem, and we'll see what the rules are. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a knight's move in chess cannot contain the same digit. So we've got knight's movage today. So imagine that was a 1. Now, if that 1 in the middle of the grid was a knight, a chess knight, it could jump to all of those cells I've just highlighted, and therefore none of those yellow cells could contain the digit 1, because then we'd have ones that were a knight's move apart, and in this puzzle you cannot have the same digit a knight's move apart. You'll get into trouble and you'll get the puzzle wrong. Clues outside the grid give the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal, so what we're being told there is that those 6 cells have to sum up to 22. Digits may repeat along a diagonal if allowed by the other rules, so we could make up this 30 total like frivolously. We could do something like this: 3 9s. Those 9s are not a knight's move apart, so that would work, and a 1 and a 2. There you go. I did it in a naughty, well, not a naughty way, a perfectly legitimate way, and it will be quite amusing if that turns out to be correct. Digits in a cage sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. So those 4 cells sum to 22, those 3 cells sum to 20. We only get given 2 cages today. And the marked diagonal in pink contains exactly 2 different digits. Okay, so this little diagonal, this is a weird rule, can only have 2 digits on it. So I can see that that is possible, and I guess knight's move, yeah, none of the digits on this diagonal are a knight's move away from themselves, because it's sort of diagonal, and you'd have to have a strangely bouncing knight to do that sort of jump. Yeah, so that's the final bit of the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. My eyes are instantly drawn to this 6 at the bottom, because well, actually, very usefully, a 6 in 3 cells must be 1, 2, and 3 if the digits are different, and they're going to be because they're all in this box. And that cell therefore has to be a 3, because if we put 1 or 2 in a 20 cage, these digits are going to be impossibly high. With 3 we can do it with an 8-9 pair, and that's the only thing that will work. So this is a 1-2 pair. And there we shall pause for breath and think again. So, is it the 17 diagonal? Certainly something going on here, isn't there? Because, well, what I'm seeing here, let me just highlight that diagonal. Whatever's in this cell here can't actually appear in those 3 digits. Right, so one of these, right, so if we divide the 17 diagonal in half, look, I can probably do that. There, I've divided it in half. Now, depending on which one of these is a 1, one couldn't, on this bottom, imagine this was a 1. These cells therefore couldn't include a 1, so there'd be a minimum of summing to 9. They'd at least be 2 plus 3 plus 4. But then on the top diagonal, on this side of it, those 3 cells couldn't contain a 2. So they would have a minimum value of 1, 3 and 4, which add up to 8. So this diagonal is, that's really lovely. That's really lovely. So this diagonal is a 2, 3, 4 triple and a 1, 3, 4 triple. So 3. Yes, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Right. So if we think, I'm actually going to fully pencil mark this. One of these triples is 1, 3, 4. The other is 2, 3, 4. It's the only way to keep this down to 17 overall. But this little 3 here, because of the knight's move constraint, rules itself out of all of those cells, and we know each of these triples has a 3 in it. So we can place 3 in the periphery, or in the perimeter of the grid in those cells. Okay. So now I'm worried. Oh, I see. Now I was thinking I'd broken the puzzle then, but I now see I haven't. Okay. This is weird though. Right, let's again revisit this diagonal. I was thinking about this cell and saying, where does it go there? Whereas obviously it doesn't go there. But the point is, it actually has to go in on this triple, because if that's a 1, we know there's no 1 in these 3 cells, but this will be a 1, 3, 4 triple, and the 1 will go there. And if this is a 2 on the other hand, this will be the 2, 3, well, there will be no 2 up there, so that will be 1, 3, 4. This will be 2, 3, 4, and the 2 would go here. So this digit here always goes there. And therefore this digit always goes there by symmetry. So those 2 digits are the same digit. And that means these digits are not 4s. But we know each of the triples has a 4 on it. They always have 3 and 4. And they either have 1 or 2. So these have got to be where the 4 goes. This is beautiful. So now I can just place 4 in the corner. No song. You don't get a song for 4 in the corner. But we do get a 4 in the corner. That square's not a 4. So green, look, has to go up there for what that's worth. I'm actually just wondering, is it possible to put green on this diagonal line? If that's green, I would have to make one of these two green. It would have to be this one. Can't quite rule that out, but that's a bit suspicious, isn't it? Right, now, so by symmetry, I've got all these symmetrical puzzles I've been doing recently, and that's no bad thing. So perhaps we now look at the 20 diagonal, which can't have 3 on it. 1, 2, 4. Yep, okay. So we started here and we did some work, and then we moved outwards this way. We sort of skipped the diagonal. I can't see how that works, but now the 20 diagonal is where to look. And that is because these rather beautiful 3s are working magic. And look, this 3 is ruling itself out of all 3 of those positions because of the knight's move constraint. So the minimum value of those 3 squares would be 1, 2, and 4, which is summing to 7. Now the same exact thing is true by symmetry or by same logic up here. So these are a minimum of 7 as well. 7 plus 7 is 14, and the minimum I can make 3 digits add up to is 1, 2, and 3. So I must have 1, 2, and 3 here. And now that gets me a 3 in the middle of the grid by our old friend Sudoku. Oh, this is beautiful. Good grief. And now I'm going to be able to colour my 1s and 2s in the middle box. But before we do that, let's just see what we can do in the rest of these diagonals. We must have 1, 2, and 4 here. We must have 1, 2, and 4 here. That is not a 4. So that's not a 4. And one of these must be green, because they must have a 1 and a 2 in them. So that must be green, because it's the only one that can be green. And that tells us that this is a 4, because this is a 1, 2 pair. I'm going to be able to do exactly the same down here, I think. I must have an orange digit in this triple. It must therefore live right in the corner. So this becomes unoranged. That's got to be green because it's the same as this one, therefore. That's got to be 4. That's got to be orange. Well, okay, now you definitely cannot put 1 and 2 on this purple line or pink line, because 1 and 2 can go in neither of those cells. And the line obviously only has 2 different digits on it. Now, can I colour the... Yes, I can. That digit sees green, so that's got to be orange, so that's got to be green. Right, orange is placed in this box. It can't go here by Sudoku, so it's got to go there. So orange is in one of these 2 cells. Orange can't go there because it would... Oh, well, it would by Sudoku. It's funny how I see the knight's move restriction before I see the Sudoku restriction, but that's just how my brain works. Okay, so this is a 1 or a 2. I've got loads of oranges in the grid. But can I do any better than this? That's the question. And the answer is yes. Yes, I can actually. Okay, let's have a look at this box, box 1, and ask where orange goes. Because by Sudoku, orange is not in this V pentomino. And by knight's move trickery, it's not in this domino. And that's because if you did put orange in either of these cells, you would eliminate those 2 cells from being capable of having orange in them. So if that was orange, obviously the knight's move would rule that one out, and Sudoku would rule that one out. So that's not orange, so none of those 7 cells are orange, which means orange is here. And that means orange is not there, orange is there, so we get an extra pinpoint position of orange in box 4. Okay, so I have now placed 7 oranges, and I've got this little X-wing of oranges left. Now, is it going to be true to say we should be able to do exactly that logic with green? I feel like I didn't use anything that would break the symmetry there, so let's see if we can. So green is in one of these two. Green can't be here, so green is in one of these two. And the whole trick was to think about orange in here. So let's think about green in here. So green can't go there, or in these two cells because of this green domino. So it does work identically. That's a green domino, which means that's not a green domino, and that's a 1 or a 2. Which is potentially very cool. Right, can we do any better than that? I'm going to take out my colouring of the 4s and the 3s, or at least if I do reinstate that, then I should give them their own colour now, I think. 3 I can lock into a domino there, so presumably 3 I can lock into a domino up here somewhere. 4 in the middle box is slightly restricted, but not very restricted. 4 in box 2, no, that's going to be the same in box 4, isn't it? 3, okay, so 3 in box 4 can't go there, and that is interesting because that creates another of these little X-wings on 3s. So there's a few ways of thinking about this sort of 2x2 pattern. We can see that in the finished grid there's either going to be 2 3s in those two cells or 2 3s in those two cells. And therefore, we're not going to be able to put 3s in any of these cells in box 1. The other way of thinking about that, which some people find simpler, is just to immediately focus on column 3 and ask where 3 goes, and it can't go in those 6 cells anymore. So it has to be at the top somewhere. Although I don't think I know where. Can we... I do know where. I know exactly where. By the power of these 3s. Because I've got this... Yeah, okay, I sort of understanding it. It's symmetry again. This cell can't be a 3 because it would be a knight's move away from itself. So that 3 up here is in this domino. And now I should ask where 3 goes in row 3. And I get... It's in one of those 3. And the only cell that's going to meet the criteria of being in those 3 cells and those 3 cells at the same time is this one. So that's a 3. And... Okay, so I've now got 5 3s placed and 2 X-wings of 3s left, which I don't think are interfered with by knight's moves. 4, 5, 6 and 7 add up to 22. Oh, lovely. Right, so what's this? And the answer is we now know, because it doesn't have 1 and 2 in it, because the 1 and the 2 in box 1 are in orange and green cells. It now doesn't have a 3 in it, so the minimum I can put into it would be 4, 5, 6 and 7. When I just did that in my head, I got 22. It is 22. So 4 gets locked into the corner. So there is... Okay, so the 4s are symmetrical around this diagonal. This has got to be a 5, 6, 7 triple. So these squares are from 1, 2, 8, 9. I will actually just pencil mark that for a moment in case it leads to inspiration striking. And now we should pause for breath again and try and stare at where to look next. So we've used the 6 diagonal, the 17 diagonal, the 20 diagonal, and therefore the next challenge is which of these diagonals is most restricted. The 30 diagonal, that has a 3 in it. Can it really have a 1 or a 2 on it? If it had, let's say that was a 2, that would be 5, these two cells. So these would add up to 25, which is possible because these digits don't have to be different. So we could do 997, for instance. So I can't rule this cell out from being green, which means I can't rule that cell out from being orange. And the only thing I could do is say that can't be green at the same time as that is orange. That really won't work. Right, I'm going to fill in my 1 and 2 into the middle of this cell because that's going to make me feel like I'm making progress. I'm going to... What about that diagonal? That's a 32 diagonal. So, that's right, that is useful. Okay, this one's better. Because, can that be a 3? And I think the answer's no. Because if that's a 3, even if I make this a 2, so let's put this in, 3 here, 2 here, that's 5. That means those 3 digits have to sum to 27, and what we cannot do is that, because that will break the rules of Sudoku in this box. So in fact, that's not the 3, so that's the 3, that's the 3. So, and that's broken symmetry for the first time. Because that has... not, well, we haven't got, which diagonal was it? This diagonal was what was giving me that deduction, and that diagonal doesn't seem to have a counterpart that's interfering with these 3s. So we're now entering the realm of asymmetry, and okay, well let's keep thinking about this diagonal. If that's a 2, these have to add up to 30, but they don't have to be different. That's the problem. If we knew they had to all be different digits, they would have to be 6, 7, 8, and 9, and that would really be useful. But without that restriction, they could be double 9, and that's already getting us to 18. Then we only need 14 from the other 3 cells, which is hardly restricted at all. Although having said that, well, that's only if they're double 9. They don't have to be double 9. I was just thinking, I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, so the minimum value of those squares would be 5 and 6. But that's not even the case here. So, alright. I think this 32 diagonal is now letting itself down. Let's instead try... I've not looked at the 22 diagonal. That has 2 greens on it. And then a possible low digit here. This box is more restricted. Those 2 cells can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4, so they're at least a 5, 6 pair. So that gives us, so these cells are at an absolute minimum, double 1, 5 and 6, which is 13. So these are at an absolute maximum, adding up to 9. But with that being able to be low, that's not helpful. If that couldn't be low, then we would be in business. We'd probably have to be doing 4, 5 here, double 1 and 5, 6 here. So what's preventing this from being an orange digit? The answer is... far from clear. 4, I can pencil mark in this box. Look, this 4 is ruling itself out of there. So there's a 4 in one of these. That means that's not a 4. Yeah, that's quite interesting. This can't be a 4 now because it would rule 4 out of both of those positions. So is there a symmetry about that? Oh, there is. Oh, this is lovely as well. I love the puzzles like this. They remind me a bit of when I first did the Miracle Sudoku. They feel a bit miraculous. This can't be a 4, so there's a 4 in one of those 2 cells. But now with this 4, looking at that cell, that's a 4, and now that sees that cell by Knight's move, so that's a 4. That sees that cell by Knight's move, so that's a 4. And we immediately get lots of 4s in the grid. All of the 4s are now finished. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. So hang on, I want to think about this again now. Is that annoying or has that done it? So if if we minimize all of those cells with 5, 6 and double 1, that's 13. I would need these to have a maximum value of 9. So if this was not a low digit, so if this was the low digit, these would have a minimum value of 5 and 6, which is too many. It's just too many, isn't it? It just doesn't work. 5, thinking about it a different way, the minimum for those 3 cells would be 5, 6 and 1 is 12. 12 and 12 is 24. So that's telling us this is the low digit. That's huge, probably. So those are not low anymore, which means I can take 1 and 2 out of this one, 8 and 9 out of this one. This is a 1 or a 2. Unfortunately, the other effect that's had, though, is it's taken all the pressure off this diagonal. I've got all of the orange digits placed. I haven't got all of the green digits placed. Oh, and the other thing I've not even thought about is this purple line, or pink line. I'm not sure what it's meant to be. And I've got virtually all the 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s in the grid. So presumably what, Simon? Presumably I don't know. Okay, so now this is where the puzzle is going to put up. It's going to erect its resistance, isn't it? And we need to overcome it. What is the next deduction we can do here? Where does that digit go in box 5? That's an interesting question, because it can only go here. Yeah, so in Knight's Moves puzzles, it's often a good thing to look at the sort of central digit adjacent to a box, because it rules out a cross in the middle of that box, and that cross is powerful here, because once we've ruled out the cross from being yellow, we know yellow can't be a 1, 2 or a 4, because 1, 2 and 4 already appear in box 6, so that's got to be yellow. Yeah, okay, and by symmetry we'll try the same with that cell. So where does that cell go in this box? And it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4, because they've already appeared in box 8. So it also has to go into exactly that cell. So yellow, so we get a little triplicate of yellow. Now that's got Sudoku implications, because now in box 9, where does yellow go? Remember, it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So it's 8 or 9. So yellow is in one of those 2 cells. Now, can we decide which of those is yellow? So if that's yellow, that's yellow. If this is yellow, oh, yellow could be in one of those 2 positions. Oh, yellow, right, yellow can't go on the pink line now, because the pink line is only allowed to contain 2 different digits, and those 2 digits are going to be in those 2 cells, and now they see yellow. So yellow in this box up here is restricted, and probably that box down there, but let's look up here. So yellow can't go on the line, so yellow's in one of 2 places. Okay, that's maybe not as good as I was hoping. Does it work the same way down here? Yes, it does. So yellow's in one of those 2 places as well. Okay. Good. And what does that mean then? So yellow is in one of these 2 cells. Let's keep trying Sudoku. Oh, yeah, yes, okay, so yellow in this box has to be in one of those 3 positions. So that Well, that can't be yellow now. That's all we're saying. We're not saying it can't be 8 or 9. It can't be yellow. So yellow is in one of... That is useful, isn't it? Or am I going mad? I'm now fearful that I'm going mad. I think the point is that actually it is useful. Yellow is definitely in one of these 3 cells, and it can't be there because it would rule yellow out of these 2. So yellow is in one of those. But that means that the yellow in row 2 now, look, only has one little position to go into. So that's got to be yellow. And that, unfortunately, is not on the use... Oh, well, it is on that diagonal. But that's not very surprising that it's a high number. Because this is quite a high number. Oh, look, yeah, but by symmetry. Oh, this has done it. Right. Now we can use these columns as well, because yellow's in one of those and yellow's in one of those. And that means yellow is in one of these 2 cells, but Sudoku rules it out of that one. So that's got to be yellow, which means that one is not green. And if that one's not green, we now know the disposition of greens within this 2 by 2. They've got to be... actually, that can still be yellow, but this can't be green. So these 2 are green digits, which means they're low digits. So this is the final, whoopsie, well, that's the final disposition of greens. This square is yellow, so I need to be careful here. Can we improve upon this? Do I know which of these is definitively yellow? I have a horrible feeling. Well, okay, I've got a 1-2 pair here now, so this is an 8-9 pair, but I don't know how they correspond to the 8-9s down there. It's weird the way the symmetry has sort of flowed through the puzzle from the bottom right to the top left. But I'm not sure I know. Okay, so 8-9, I'm going to put the 8-9s into the cells where I definitely know. And I probably should give a grey flash in all of these to remind myself that I don't know which way round those yellows go. And then what we could do is ask a question about... Well, the 32 diagonal now doesn't have yellow on it. So that's interesting. How big can that... Is it possible it's not got the other of 8 and 9 on it? If it's not got 8 or 9 on it, it would be a maximum of 7, 6, 7, 6, which is 26. That's not nearly enough. Right. So it's got to have at least one of the other of 8 and 9 on it. Does it have to have 2 of them? If we had 7, 6, 2... 9, 7, say, what's that adding up to? So 9 and 7, 16, 18. Well, it's not 32, is it? In fact, is that exactly 31? I'm just going to do that again. So what I'm thinking is, I know that whatever yellow is not on this diagonal. I've worked out that whichever one of these is not yellow, that now must go on this diagonal. But what I'm wondering is, does it have to have 2 copies of itself on this diagonal? So if we just had one copy of the highest digit that we can put on this diagonal, let's say it's 9 therefore. So we put 9 on, that's saying yellow is 8 and not on the diagonal. And then we put 7, 7, 6. So 16 and 13. And even if I make that 2, it only gets to 31. So that does seem to be important, doesn't it? So what we're now learning is that whatever is not yellow down here... Right, so I'm going to change the colouring. Let's use purple. So one of these is yellow, one of them is purple. I now know there must be a purple digit here in one of those 2. And there must be a purple digit here in one of these 2. And look, that means this is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Right, this by Sudoku is now the only place purple can go in this column, which means that's not able to be purple. So that becomes the purple digit in this box. And that that's differentiating purple and yellow somehow. Because if that's purple and that's purple, that's got to be purple, which means that one is yellow, which means that one is yellow and this one is not, which means this one is yellow and that one has become, we have discovered the nature of purple. This is, I just love this puzzle. This is just so beautiful. 8, whoa. That's an 8, 9. Right, now can we keep that going? Surely. Can we put purple on this line? The answer is no, because these two cells are the only 2 digits that are on the purple line, and this one sees that by normal Sudoku and that by Knight's Move. So in the middle box, look, where do we put purple? It can't go on the line and it can't go there, so that's purple. Which means purple is exactly here in box 4. Purple can't go on the line, we established. Oh, this is gorgeous. So that's got me a purple here and interfered with the X-wing of 3s. So now I can't put 3 here, which means I can't put 3 there. I get 2 3s in the grid. I get lots of 8, 9 pairs in the grid. I must be able to do all the purples. I feel like I've done lots of purplage. Purple in this box is at the bottom. There we go. And we can get the last yellow up here. That's got to be the last yellow. So, right, I can put 8, 9 in there. All the purpling's done. All the yellow is done. And presumably, somehow, some way, we can now resolve the rest of this. So the only digits I have not now specified are 5s, 6s, and 7s. Right, so can we do this one then? I've got 2 yellows on the 30 diagonal. So if they were 9, we would have 21. And that can't work. Yeah, the minimum value of that would be double 5. Yes, okay. That wasn't the way round I thought that was going to work, but it does work that way round. If we double 9, if we say yellow is 9, that becomes 21. These 2 cells have to add up to only 9, and yet we can't use 4 in either position. So the minimum value they have is double 5, and that's too many. So yellow, we've suddenly established, is 8, which means we do that. Purple is 9. And now let's revisit this diagonal. We've got 19 on it, so these have to add up to 11. Okay, well I know they're a 5-6 pair, and I know they're different. So we need to record that. Let's make this one red and this one blue to record the fact they are different numbers. But I don't think I know which way round they go. I have a feeling that's the first time. No, I have pencil marked 5, 6s and 7s already in here. But literally every other white space in the puzzle I think is a 5, 6 or a 7. So blue is in one of those 2 cells. Okay, sorry, I'm not quite seeing how to do that. Right, let's instead then look at... Alright, should we try this one? What have we got here? We've got 18 at the moment. We need 14 more, and that's a 5 or a 6. So we need those 3 squares to add up to 14. So if I max those out, this would be a 6. So this is at least 6, but it can't be 8 or 9. So that square is a 6 or a 7 only. Ah, that's lovely. Right. That can't be 6, because if it's 6, this also has to be 6. So let me show you. If that's 6 and that's 6, which would be forced, because the only way of making these 3 cells add up to 14 would be to go double 6 with a 2. But now you can't put 6 at all in box 3. It's completely ruled out because of the Knight's Move. So that's wrong. And that means that... well, it means this can't be a 6. This has to be a 7. right, so 7 is now not... this 7 has ruled itself out of this line. So in fact, that being a 7 also means that's a 7, doesn't it? So it probably means we can fill all the 7s in the whole grid. But it also means this line is full of 5s and 6s, so let's put those in. Yeah, look, that just gets me a 7 down here. So that's just a 7. That's just a 7. That can't be a 7 by Knightsmove. This is a 7. Ah, this is just quality. It's absolute quality. That is a 7 by Magic. Pure Magic. That's a 7. And we're just left with 5s and 6s. We might have to colour them, look. They are communicating with each other via the medium of box 1. Have I put in all the 7s? No. Right, that's remiss of me, sorry. There we go. That's all the 7s. So everything else is 5s and 6s. How is that going to get resolved? Is it here? Is it here? Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Sorry, look, there are 2 ways those 2 digits can add up to 7, which is what we need them to do. Okay, so it must be a diagonal I've not looked at. Is it? Oh, the 22 diagonal. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Right. These 2 cells are obviously a 5-6 pair, so I know their sum. They add up to 11. So I've got 18 between those 3 cells, which means these 2 cells, which are sort of 2x plus y, they're 2 greens plus orange, have to add up to 4. Well, if we made green 2, these would add up to 5, so we must make green 1. So let's make green 1, make orange 2, and now, has that worked? Yes, okay, that has worked, and it's worked because we've now fixed the value of this diagonal now, where we needed 7 more to make it work, and we've got a 2 here, so that makes this a 5, which makes this a 5, that a 6, that a 6, that a 6, that a 5. So that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 5, 5 and 6, 6 and 5, 6 goes here, 5 goes here. What a puzzle that is. Let me just click tick. Yay. Sensational. Adem Jaziri, take a bow. That was just gorgeous from start to finish. Not too difficult. I think it was very, very... it was very telegraphed. I mean, it's very clear you start here. It's fairly clear, or at least it was immediately apparent that there was something going on the 17, then the 20. So that's all lovely, but then it really starts to work magic. The fact that these knights moves can be peppered around the grid, locking themselves out of that quadruple at the top, is absolutely lovely. And the selection of these totals so that we could sort of colour our way to a finish and get this funny diagonal here full of 5s and 6s. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And please back the Kickstarter. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.